Welcome to the Moon Manifesting Podcast. I'm Kyra, Howearth, your host. Here on the show, we talk all about manifesting your dreams with the power of the moon so you can use the cosmic energy to transform your life. Are you someone who just can't sit still? Maybe you feel like you always need to be productive and you spend all your spend time working on your business or your projects. I'm totally here for boosting productivity, don't get me wrong, but the thing I have discovered is that when we are too busy, when we don't get enough rest or time off, we can get burnt out. This is when we can get sick, we can get stressed, or the universe might even force us to stop. And trust me, I have seen this happen so many times. It does happen. The key is to balance your productivity with times of stillness, taking actual deep restorative rest. And today I want to share with you some easy ways to be still, to take that time off instead of feeling like you have to do stuff all the time. Welcome back to the Moon Manifesting Podcast. My name's Kyra Howearth, and let's dive into a bit of a story time. For my regular listeners, you know that I love sharing some stories. So going back, probably a good 10 or so years ago, my kids were very young and I just loved the idea of being able to make money on the internet, working from home, doing things in my own timing, and I became obsessed with nap time was work time. Whenever my baby was napping, sometimes she would be napping in my arms. I would have one arm holding a baby, my other hand typing away at the computer. I would do like a lot of freelance writing and things like that at this time of my life. So nap time was work time. Nighttime after the kids went to bed was also work time. I did not know how to stop. And the thing was, I was also solo parenting my 4 kids a lot of the time. My husband was working away from home, which really gave me the flexibility to be able to work from home and to do things in my own time. Like I didn't really need to be working, but I just didn't know how to stop, right? And there was always chores that needed to be doing. With 4 young kids, I was using cloth nappies. I was constantly having to do washing. We didn't own a dishwasher, so I was always having to hand wash dishes, and parents will know, like, your kids just don't stop eating. There is always different things to wash up, more kids to feed. I was just one of those people who was literally too busy to meditate. But looking back, meditation would have actually been so beneficial for me because I was like just so flat out all the time, looking after my 4 kids and like doing my work online just in my spare time. I was often feeling so angry and frustrated and resentful, and I was not regulated emotionally. But if I could have just stopped and found stillness more often and realized that I could be more productive if I actually maybe just napped when the baby napped, then maybe I would have been able to manage my emotions and responsibilities from a more regulated space. I just know that if I could go back in time, I would say to my younger self, you need to meditate. Let's sit down for 5 minutes and meditate. The thing about stillness though is that you want to create stillness in both your mind and your body. And I really hate to break it to you, but laying on the couch, binging on Netflix doesn't really count. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry to be the bearer of bad news. So to find some really deep stillness, to really stop doing stuff and find stillness, to actually give yourself a true restorative break, here are some things that you might like to try out to find that stillness in your life, because it will make such a difference. Trust me, when you're taking that time out, it really makes a difference. You come back feeling more refreshed, more regulated, more recharged. It really, really is magic. So the first thing is, of course, meditation. Yes, I'm going to tell you to meditate more. If you're one of those people who is too busy to meditate, that means that you actually really do need to meditate more. And you don't need to spend a full half hour doing meditation every single day. It doesn't have to be super lengthy. It doesn't have to be hard. It can literally just be 3 minutes. It can be a short meditation. You fit in what you can fit in, and maybe over time you can grow and expand the length of time that you're meditating for. Just start off small. If you're feeling like you literally don't have any time, let's work some time into your life to find that meditation. Maybe instead of scrolling on Facebook for 3 minutes, you can spend those 3 minutes meditating. Maybe if you're on the bus or train commuting to and from work, maybe you can pop on your headphones and listen to a guided meditation for a few moments while you're on that daily commute if you're not driving. Like if you're on public transport, do it. if you're driving, don't do it. But maybe there are other times as well when you can have that few minutes of meditation. Where in your life can you just find a spare few moments to meditate? For me, at the moment, my days are just so full right now. I'm homeschooling my 4 kids. I run my own business, and I'm also working part-time. Elsewhere, I teach yoga classes and reformer Pilates. And so I'm just super busy all the time. But what I've been doing is I meditate at bedtime. When I go to bed at nighttime, I choose a guided meditation or like a meditative music track, and I say to myself, right, I'm going to set my timer for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, however long I feel like I have to spare, and I commit to that stillness. I commit to that stillness for that duration, and I know that everything else can wait. And usually at that stage as well, I don't get interrupted by my kids. I tell my kids, good night, I'm going to bed. And, they're in bed as well. So usually they still come and say things to me, but mostly if I say, good night, I'm going to bed, that is my me time. And that is when I can get that uninterrupted meditation time. So maybe there's a time in your day-to-day routine where you can find just a few minutes to meditate as well. Now, another way that you can find more stillness in your life is through yin yoga. And I am totally obsessed with yin yoga. When I first started going to yin yoga classes, probably about 6 or 7 years ago now, I didn't really know what I was signing up for when I first entered the room, and it was such a treat to be able to sit there in stillness in these yoga poses for quite a few moments before we move on to the next pose. And it was a real meditative experience. And especially if you're going to somewhere like a yoga studio or a gym or somewhere like that where you're participating in a yin yoga class, you're really forced to stay there in the room. Like unless something happens and you have to leave, like you're there for the full hour or however long the class is. And you're kind of forcing yourself into being still for that whole hour. And saying that, like obviously like you move between poses, but as you move into the next pose, you sink back into that stillness. You sink back into that meditative bliss. And I feel that yin yoga is just a beautiful way to find stillness in the body because you really focus on consciously relaxing the muscles in the yin yoga poses. Like you really do need to find stillness in your body. And then you also find stillness in the mind. Like it's not really a time when you're ruminating on thoughts throughout the mind, like going through your mental to-do list and all the things that have happened in your day and all that sort of stuff. It is really a time where you are encouraged to switch off any of those thoughts, of those mental distractions, and just find that stillness within, find that meditative bliss. It is really such a gift. And if you've never tried yin yoga, definitely go try it out. You'll find on my YouTube channel as well, I have some yin yoga classes for you to try. So that can be a really fun place to start as well. So the third way that you might like to find some stillness in your life is through mindfulness practice. And while this isn't exactly stillness per se, I feel like it's definitely a good step in the right direction, and it can help you slow down, and it really is still more of the essence of what I'm talking about in today's episode, because it encourages that inner stillness. So with mindfulness, it's about not multitasking. It's about being mindful, bringing your awareness completely to the thing that you're doing. So let's say you're eating. How many times do you eat your lunch and you're still scrolling on your phone or multitasking or reading a book or watching TV or something? How often are you actually just being mindful with eating your lunch? Like, are you tasting every single bite? Are you mindfully biting and chewing every single time that you're chewing it? Like, are you mindfully chewing? Are you savoring the flavors? Are you really noticing the different array of flavors in the food that you're eating? Are you being mindful? So mindfulness, you can apply this to all sorts of different things that you might be doing. Maybe you're gardening, maybe you're going for a walk outside, maybe you're doing anything else. Are you being completely mindful and just focusing on that task? Or are you like busy in your head, or are you multitasking? Like maybe you're in the shower and you're washing your hair. How many times have you like washed your hair or washed your face and then you're like, oh, and then you're doing it again because you totally were thinking about something else. You weren't being mindful. The shower is a wonderful time to be mindful as well. Be mindful. Let the scents of the shampoo and soap and everything else invigorate you, and just really be mindful. Immerse yourself into that one present moment, into that single activity that you're doing. And that will really help you find more inner stillness because you're just focusing on that one thing. You're being really present in the moment rather than being really scattered within the mind and thinking about all the other things and places that you might need to be going or doing. So those are a few different ways that you can find more stillness in your life, whether it's meditation, yin yoga, mindfulness, or maybe there are other ways that you can lean into this energy of stillness. There are really so many benefits to finding stillness within your life, including nervous system regulation, helping you to feel more calmer, helping you to feel more mindful and present, and generally just helping you to feel happier. There are just so many ways that you can weave this stillness into your life to improve your overall well-being. So if you are really interested in immersing yourself into this world of stillness and slowness, I invite you to check out my Yin Yoga teacher training. So I am holding a Yin Yoga teacher training this year. It is a self-paced online course, but then we also meet together for a weekend teacher training retreat, which is super cool, where we get to spend the whole weekend together and really immerse in the magic of stillness and Yin Yoga. The Yin Yoga teacher training is not just for yoga teachers. It is an immersion and stillness and energy healing. You'll learn how to apply yin yoga concepts to your yoga practice as well as the rest of your life. And we also cover a range of different things, including meditation, like how to guide your own meditations, yoga nidra, which is kind of like a yogic sleep. It's like a really deep form of meditation, and so many other ways that can really help you deepen your inner stillness. We learn all about anatomy, we learn about meridians, about how the energy travels through the body, and so much else. It is really a beautiful immersion into stillness. So if you are interested in joining me, whether you're a yoga teacher or maybe you're another sort of practitioner or person who is wanting to immerse yourself in stillness this year, this Yin Yoga teacher training is for you. You'll find more information through the link in the show notes below this episode. So make sure you go check that out if you are feeling called to find more stillness this year. I would love to invite you into the Yin Yoga teacher training. So how often do you find stillness each day? Whether it's just a few moments for meditation to start your day or to end your day, maybe you go to a yin yoga class regularly, or maybe you try to be more mindful while you're eating, or maybe you just find other ways to bring more stillness in. I really invite you to weave that stillness into your day-to-day life, because you will really find it helps you overall with your well-being. It will help with your mind, it will help with your body. It just really is magical to find more stillness, to do less. You do not need to be switched on all the time. You do not need to be productive all of the time. Stillness can really be the key to help you feel more productive. So before I finish today's episode, I will leave you with a quote by Deepak Chopra. And this is a really beautiful quote. In the midst of movement and chaos, keep stillness inside of you. So you can always keep that stillness inside of you by cultivating in yoga practice, your meditation practice. You'll always have this stillness inside of you, and through these practices, it's easier to come back to that stillness. Even when the world around you seems chaotic, when there's so much going on, you can always come back to that stillness inside. All right, stay magical, stay manifesting, and stay tuned. I'll talk with you again really soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Moon Manifesting Podcast. If you are curious about working with the moon, you can read my book, Moon Manifesting, or join us inside the Moon Manifesting Coven. You'll find the links in the show notes, or go to kyrahowearth.com.